What's up, everybody? Welcome to the rLounge. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for professional hair, makeup, new shoes, and stay in an expensive Airbnb for my friend's out-of-town wedding? Hi, y'all. My 28 female friend, 30 female, let's call her B, is getting married to her long-distance boyfriend, 28 male, of 6 months. For background, I live in a city about a 16-hour drive away from where B lives. However, the groom also lives in a different city from both myself and the bride, somewhere in between both of us. She will be getting married on her groom's farm in a different state about 6 hours away from me. A couple of days later, all crap breaks loose when B's first list of requirements emerge in the group chat. Makeup and hair must be professionally done and paid for by bridesmaids, $200 for both. We must purchase nude flats, and we may not wear heels, around $30 to $50, as she is worried she and her groom will look shorter than us. We must wear the jewelry of her choice. To be fair to her, she said this would be a borrowed gift to us once she decides what look she's going for. Nails must be bare or in the mauve color she has selected for her dress. The dress must be from the local boutique, 16-hour drive, or a 3-hour plane flight away from me, and must be floor length with straps. And the boutique doesn't ship, but my sister is picking it up, trying it on, and sending pics. I texted her explaining I'm traveling for the wedding and I'm happy to pay the accommodation, airfare, and for the dress, but that if she was requiring professional makeup and specific non-heeled shoes, that she should pay for the extra things she wants. I explained that I'm happy to pay for the usual things, but that my budget wouldn't allow for professional hair and makeup and new shoes. She said she would speak to her groom about allowing me to stay on the farm property, but that the makeup was non-negotiable. Fast forward again to today. B texts me and says she will have to renege on the offer she made to me to let me stay in the farmhouse on the night after the wedding. She reserved an Airbnb in the city, $200 a night, for the wedding party. However, she says she will only be paying for the night prior to the wedding. B tells me that she thinks I could stay in the Airbnb she booked since there is a 2-night minimum and she would like the money back. I politely declined and said I would try to find accommodations in the city for the night after the wedding since there are some reasonable places to stay. I asked if there would be anyone to transport me back to the city since no cabs or public transportation will go there. B says she will not arrange transportation for me unless I stay in the $200 Airbnb and pay her back for the cost of it. She said I may bring a tent or I have to figure it out for myself. I'm more than willing to pay for the dress, transportation, etc. The cost of being in her wedding right now is $1,256, including all travel expenses, dress, and extras she's asked for. Am I the a-hole? Update. Hi again. Since one user said they would summon an internet ghost to haunt me if I was a bridesmaid in this wedding, here's an unsolicited update. After taking a day or two to think it through, I texted my friend and explained to her the following, summarized. I think she's a great friend and we have a lot of great memories together. I was excited to make a new one on her big day. That being said, I couldn't afford the expenses she required, such as professional hair, makeup, specific shoes, and the chosen Airbnb. I explained that the $1,200 it would cost to attend is over my budget, and I simply could not afford the things she is asking for. I don't want to put her in a position where she would be compromising on things she wanted to accommodate my budget, so the best thing for me to do was to bow out of being a bridesmaid right now so she can have ample time to find a replacement. I also explained that I had some concerns with how I was going to get off the farm after the night of the wedding since she said she would only offer transport if I stayed in the shared $200 Airbnb. She was unsure who else would be staying there. I said I have to be in court for a trial 2 days after the wedding, and while I'm usually very flexible, I couldn't leave that part to chance since my career is important to me. B responded with the following, summarized. She has been very busy planning her move, doing report cards, she's a teacher, and planning the wedding. She felt that since I am a lawyer, I should be able to afford everything she is asking for. For reference, I'm a very new government lawyer and I have massive student debt. She deserves a bridesmaid who will meet her expectations and be able to support her. I am not sure how to respond to her or if I will, but I do think I dodged a bullet, or at least a trip to Crazy Town. Thank you so much for all of you who convinced me to not attend this disaster. You have saved me $1,200 and 6 months of horror. Our first response is from Elf13. You've totally dodged a bullet. The bride sounds very entitled and not at all sympathetic to your position. It's so hard to let down a friend, and congratulations for being so measured in your message to her, but I have to say, she's let you down too, big time. Our next thought comes from Senpai Ranjid. Agreed. What especially stood out to me was this. OP. I can't fulfill your expectations, so I don't want to burden you, but rather step down. Bride. You're rich. You can afford it. If not, you won't be my bridesmaid. As if OP didn't just state they would step down, this lady still thinks she can pressure OP with that. Like, what? Also, this entitlement smells fishy to me. Has OP ever seen an actual invoice or price, or did the bride hope her rich lawyer friend would eat most of the cost without even noticing? Our next thought comes from Berber Pat Pat. She felt that since I'm a lawyer, I should be able to afford everything she's asking for. Like, what? Even having the money doesn't mean spending it on her. I would think that if she has such high standards for her wedding and her bridesmaids, then she would have the money to meet those expectations. And our final thought on this story from Mander Blues. It sounds like we agree that I'll step down from being a bridesmaid. I look forward to seeing you marry X as a guest at the wedding. If I can assist in other ways, please let me know. On to the next adventure. Am I the a-hole for skipping out on my brother's wedding due to my family's treatment of my son? I'll, 27 male, admit, I was kind of a hoe back then. One of the girls that I used to hook up with turned out pregnant. Because of how many times we hooked up, I was sure I was the daddy. But then, didn't meet my son, who's 8 now, until he was almost 1 year old because my college was hours away and me being an immature butt who didn't want to be a dad. That changed after holding him the first time. From then, he was my son. 3 years ago, we learned that he might be someone else's biological child. To sum it up, someone in his bio dad's family saw my son one time, and because they knew she and bio dad hooked up once, they brought it to our attention. My son's mom said it's not possible because her and I were sleeping together more times when she got pregnant, while other guy was only once. The biological dad didn't care about being involved or about doing a paternity test. We did a DNA test using the relative who pointed it out, and that's how we knew since they were a match. It was a major mind screw, but at the end of the day, he was still my kid and I learned to get over it. Me and his mom still co-parent. My family expected me to literally drop him though. We had a falling out because they didn't see why they have to accept a kid who's not related to them. My parents, who loved him as their grandson for over 4 years before finding out, didn't want him anymore. Same went for my grandparents, uncles, cousins, my sister, even my older brother who I was close to. My sister came around, so we still talk a little bit, but I don't talk to anyone else in my family. Long frickin' family drama story out of the way, my brother's getting married. Surprised he mailed me an invite. My sister told me it's only for thought because the family doesn't want my son at the wedding. And no, it's not child-free. It hurts because I love my brother and we always promise to be at each other's big day. He was at all my important moments in my life. My sis gets where I'm coming from rejecting his invite, but to set aside my personal problems, to be there for him because he wants me there. And, in a way, seems a bit selfish not going because of them not accepting the choices in my life. By not going, she says I'm being a bit of a tightwad because it could be my time to get them to come around to accepting my son. I'm still not okay with them and how they were with my son. It's my brother's wedding though, and it's a separate issue, so I'm asking if I'm the a-hole then for choosing not to be there for him. Edit. For people who keep asking about adopting my son, I'm on his birth certificate, so I'm legally his father. Our first judgment comes from Jack of All. Not the a-hole. You stepped up for that kid. It's a true shame your family can't respect that, but it's incredible that you do. Also, I was kind of a hoe back then. Respect. Next judgment from Talentless67. Not the a-hole. A father isn't just someone who provides the seed to start a life. A father is someone who nurtures, teaches, protects, and inspires a child. A father is someone who is there for his child through good and bad. If your family can't accept that, then I'm sorry, but they are not family worth having. Don't go to the wedding. One more judgment from Lynette Scavo78. Not the a-hole if you don't go. Not the a-hole if you do go. You can't just turn off feelings for a child all of a sudden. And imagine the trauma it would have caused for the boy if you had dropped him like a hot potato upon learning that you're not his biological father. You're the only dad he knows. Please make sure your son gets a better sex education than you got though. Moving on. Am I the a-hole for canceling my teenage daughter's birthday? I know how the title sounds, but hear me out. I, 40 female, have 2 daughters. One recently turned 16, and one is 11 female. My 16-year-old, Fiona, is very into fashion right now. She loves to watch Project Runway, RuPaul's Drag Race, basically anything to do with fashion. For her birthday, My husband, 44 male, and I bought a rather pricey sewing machine. We agreed that although this would be an expensive purchase, it was the one Fiona would really enjoy for her 16th birthday. 2 weeks before Fiona's birthday, my youngest, Kathy, came running to me sobbing. Her beloved American Girl doll was missing. I tried to calm her down while my husband looked around the house. A few hours later, Fiona arrived home after shopping with some friends. I told her about the situation, and Fiona promptly said, "Oh, that old thing? I sold it." If ever there was a record scratch in real life moment, this was it for me. Fiona then told me that she needed some money for a new spring wardrobe and didn't think Kathy would mind since she rarely plays with the thing. It just sits there creepily in whatever outfit she put it in. Kathy was in the room and burst into tears once more. My husband swiftly removes her from the room while I stare down my oldest. Fiona had this almost sly smile on her face before telling me, "I know you're going to say to return everything, but almost all of the clothes were on final sale, so I can't." I told her she was grounded before sending her to her room. I then sprung into action on getting Kathy her doll back. Took some time, but I was able to not only cancel the FedEx delivery, but the eBay seller understood the situation and accepted a refund. Now the problem with Fiona. I checked the receipts of the various stores, and sure enough, my daughter bought almost everything on final sale. My husband and I were out around $700. My husband and I returned the sewing machine to help cover our financial loss. As for Fiona's birthday, we could still have dinner at his parents' house with the cousins and whatnot, but no gifts. A few days before, my husband and I sat Fiona down and explained that due to her theft, she would no longer be getting the sewing machine for her birthday. She wouldn't be receiving any other gifts either. She did not take it well. A few days later, I started receiving messages from more distant relatives and some of Fiona's friends. Apparently, I'm a complete a-hole for canceling my daughter's birthday and telling other people that she couldn't receive gifts. Fiona posted this story all over social media. I know that my daughter is hurting, but these are the consequences of her actions. Still, part of me wonders whether or not I went too far by barring everyone from giving her gifts. Am I the a-hole? First judgment from 30 is the charm. Not the a-hole, but why are you not more concerned about this behavior aside from the money? Either this is out of character for Fiona, in which case you need to worry about what changed, or this is in character for Fiona and you need to worry about having raised a terribly, almost absurdly entitled teen. The OP responds, "This is very out of character for her. I was worried that my husband and I went too far in the punishment, which is why I wanted a third-party opinion." Next judgment from Whole Collection 6454. With respect, I suggest you revisit the out-of-character assumption after you have talked to your other daughter. I grew up with a sibling who had our folks completely bamboozled and who refused to believe what his character truly was even when confronted with evidence. Sometimes it is hard to rationally assess people we love. But look at this field of red flags. Your daughter stole, from someone younger and weaker, something she knew was important and expensive. She secretly sold it and used the proceeds to buy things she knew could not be returned. Her initial response was to preemptively inform you, with a sly smile, that your options for enforcing restitution were limited. Her secondary response was to go public and control the narrative, not to apologize and try to make amends. This is not normal. That requires planning and cunning. That is approaching personality disorder behavior, and it would be in everyone's best interest for you to seek professional help rather than being like, "I just don't know what got into her." Our next judgment from Lolly973. Not the a-hole. You're being nice for allowing the dinners still for her birthday. I doubt the people reaching out to y'all know the full story. The OP responds, I've explained it to a few of them, but many still think that ordering others to not give her gifts was overextending my parenting power. Needless to say, I now know which relatives to avoid. Our last judgment from Throwaway 7483920. Not the a-hole. She was displaying privileged behavior. Letting it go would have enabled her to become even more entitled and spoiled. She needs to know what she did was wrong and accept it. Otherwise, she will just become a nasty, self-absorbed adult in the future. Also, the fact she tried to tell people a fake story that she wasn't in the wrong to make her seem justified is concerning. It sounds like she doesn't feel remorse or compassion at all. That is not her money she bought those clothes with. She doesn't really deserve it. She should sell those final sale clothes on eBay to get some of the money back. The OP has a final response. We're working out what to do with the clothes she bought. Husband says donate them to local shelters. My brother suggests eBay. Right now, I'm focused on my youngest. This whole thing really hurt her.